Hi everyone, I'm Moody Boo and I'm back with another house review. And this is on the house of Kerosene. Now the first two that I'm going to talk about are my two bespokes that I got from John. John Pegg is the perfumer and the owner of Kerosene Perfumes. And nicest guy you'll ever meet. Super in tuned to being able to create a fragrance that blows your mind. And his house, I compare it to Slumber House only in the regard that his perfumes can be really beastly. Their performance is second to none. And they're super unique and very artistic, which I adore. He stopped making bespokes. Oh, but I'm gonna just hope and cross my fingers that someday he'll make them again, because I want another one. I really do. So he's so good. He wanted to know, do you want it light? Do you want it mid? You want it strong? Do you want it beastly? And, what are your favorite notes? What are your favorite perfumes? Do you want to name it? Do you want to design the bottle? It was just this wonderful, collaborative, creative experience. And I couldn't be happier with my two bespokes. And the first one I had done is called Needful Thing. And the second one is Mood Swing. Now, I even got to choose the bottle. I wanted this one very gothic and dark. I described it to him like the Maker's Mark whiskey or bourbon bottle. I like the bottle. I don't care about the alcohol in it, but it had that dripping wax look. But I told him I wanted blood over black, and he did it perfectly. And then I told him and this is my winter scent, and then on my spring summer scent, I wanted something more fruity, and I wanted the bottle to be reminiscent of the 80s, because that's when I relate to the most as a young person. And Mood Swing, come on now. Moody Boo, had to be Mood Swing. Had to be. And I'm a horror buff, so Needful Thing, one of my favorite Stephen King books, had to be. So I want to get another one, though, and I want to call it Fairy Ring. When I was a kid, I know, here goes another story. When I was a kid, I used to go to this elementary school, and there was these other three girls and we used to hang out together. And the fairy rings in lawns, and it had this huge playground that was nothing but lawn. But when it gets a fungus, it gets these rings, these dark rings. And so we played games using those rings. That was the central to whatever we were going to do. It had to involve those fairy rings. And so, and I believed in fairies as a kid, because I was raised up north, up in the mountains, up in the woods, where there's a lot of fern, a lot of moist, wet woods. And I explored them all the time. And so I remember walking with my mother one day, and we were going through a very lush part of the forest. I think it was close to the coast. It might have been when we were going salmon fishing at CQ. And we stopped and walked through these forests, and the rocks were all covered with moss. And the ferns were just everywhere, and they were huge. They came up to my hips. And, any fallen tree, cedar tree that was laying down was covered in moss. And it was moist because the canopy from these tall evergreens was so thick that it never had a chance to evaporate all the way on the forest floor. So everything smelled lush and green and mossy and moist. And I remember looking at these ferns, and every once in a while the fern leaf would be still, and it'd just go bing and start dancing. And I was like, Mom, what is that? And I was like 6, 7, 8, somewhere in there. And she said, well, that's fairies dancing on the fern leaves. She said, you can't see them, they're so small, but that's when you know they're there, because you see the fern leaf bouncing up and down. I was blown away. Oh my God. We had fairies in our forest. I was so excited and I believed it. And I want to believe it still. But now I know it was just a drop of dew that fell off the underside of the leaf and made the leaf spring up and dance. But dang, I was so grateful to her for telling me that because I believed it. And it made the forests that much more wonderful for me. So that is why I don't know why I told that story. There was probably a point. Oh my God. Brain games. I keep telling you, I got to do brain games. So anyway, the first one, Needful Thing. Now, I've emailed Kerosene, I've emailed John and asked him if he still has this on record because I can't find where I saved the notes of this anywhere at all, which is like a fragrance crime. But anyway, I'm sure he's got it somewhere and or he could figure it out. But I kind of know. Because I gave him a list of notes that were my favorites and I know he used pretty much all of them. So Needful Thing, I sent him notes that I love: plum, red apple, patchouli, guyek, musk, orchid, honey, tobacco, cardamom, almond, vanilla, rum, and cinnamon. Now this has got a lot of cinnamon in it, which I love. And my husband loves. He loves this. And you can definitely get the rum, and there's some patchouli, some musk, definitely honey, and cardamom. And I'm not sure about the almond and the orchid. I'm not sure about that, or the red apple. But this is, oh, it's so good. This is a sweet cinnamon, woody, earthy, slightly spicy perfume. It's like nothing else I've ever smelled. Absolutely nothing in my collection comes close to this, which makes me very happy because that makes it a true bespoke perfume. Oh. And it's beastly. One spray. I think I'm only down to about here, and I've had it for like 6 years or something. And there's a lot left. When I asked him to make it beastly, he made it beastly, all right. So the next one is Mood Swing. And this is so pretty. And this is another beast mode. Whoa. One spray only. And this is my spring summer perfume. It's almost too decadent for summer days though, unless I do it under my clothes. It's much better for a summer night or spring. This is yuzu and peach and coconut and orange blossom and hyacinth and cinnamon, sandalwood, vanilla, tonka, and musk. But this is all about the yuzu, the coconut. I don't get peach, but if there's a peach in there, it's a very candied peach, and I am totally okay with that. I love the smell of peaches. I just don't like the perfume world's interpretation of the note peach. I much prefer a candied peach, a sweet peach, a thick, jammy peach. And if there's peach in here, then that's what it is. But I totally get the yuzu, the coconut, orange blossom, cinnamon, sandalwood, vanilla, tonka, and musk. And those last, the sandalwood, vanilla, tonka, and musk is mostly in the dry down. And it's weird, you'd think, to have cinnamon in there, but it works. It just grounds it a little bit because this is super thick and sweet. I requested it sweet, and I wanted sweet, and I got sweet. But this is a green sweet. I think it's that hyacinth in there. And maybe the peach. I don't know. But something in there is giving it this wet green note, which I love. I love this perfume. But I'm so afraid to wear them because he doesn't make bespokes anymore. And I don't know if he's... I hope to hear back from him soon. on whether or not he's got mine on record and whether or not I can still get refills from him. Because the bespokes cost about $400 to $450, up to $5 maybe, and probably down to $350, just depending on, you know, what notes you used, how many samples had to go back and forth, what kind of bottle design, you know, all of that. And I think, yeah, he said that the refills would be the same as what the perfumes cost. And so he would just send me a bottle and I could refill my own bottle. So I think it was $140 to refill. So yeah, I need to know because I really want to wear them more, but I'm scared. Beautiful perfumes. So those are my 2 bespoke, and the rest are from his public line. Coming up, I've talked about Fields of Rubus before, so I'm not going to talk about it. It's raspberry, patchouli, tobacco, plum, vanilla, sandalwood, some fruit, some musk. It's gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous perfume. Performance is great, gorgeous. So next up, the next one I have is Pretty Machine. And this is a very thick, fruity, floral kind of a perfume. It's really heavy on the linden blossom and the orange blossom and the neroli and the jasmine. It's a pretty heavy floral. But you do get a lot of those citruses coming out. And honestly, I don't get the citruses at first as much as I get them after about 20, 30 minutes. I get a lot more of that citrus mingling with those heavy, thick florals. It says there's musk in there and some other notes, but for me, it's all about the fruits and the florals on this one. This one's kind of a kimchi fragrance because a lot of Kerosene fans do not like this one. I actually like it more now than I did when I first got it. Yeah, I blind bought it. Of course I did. What were you thinking? Jeez. Who do you think I am anyway? Performance, there's none of these that don't perform crazy. So next up, the next one. The next one is what convinced me John Pegg Kerosene is genius. And that is Unknown Pleasures. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is one of the most delicious gourmands. Oh, it's lemon and caramel and vanilla and tea and bergamot and tonka and honey. And it just comes across for me as one of those sugary ice cream cones. Not the styrofoam tasteless ones that, you know, that are round. The pointy brown ones, the cone, the cone that, oh, what are they called? You know, are they graham cracker cones or something like that? I mean, this I don't think smells like graham cracker. But those, I think they're graham cracker cones. I don't know. But that's what this reminds me of, is those ice cream cones. And yet it's filled with a French vanilla, not a super sweet vanilla, but a French vanilla ice cream. Oh, it's so good. And it performs super, super well. But this is a gourmand I wear in the summertime, usually summer nights. But it's so good. Next. So the next one I'm going to talk about is Santalum Slivers. Is a gorgeous sandalwood, but it's not for everybody. This one I had to warm up to. When I first got the samples, I've gone through a couple samples, I think, of this one, and it was a little too almost metallic, cold metal kind of a sandalwood to me, which put me off. But then once I started really understanding Kerosene as a perfumer, I revisited Santalum Slivers, and now I adore it. Absolutely adore it. But like I said, it's not a sandalwood for everybody. This is a very niche kind of a sandalwood, but it's still one of the best. It's sandalwood and orange and grapefruit and cucumber and lemon and oak moss. And there's a bunch of wood, some more fruits, a little florals, a little spices, a little musk. But this doesn't do a big up and down for me. There are many of Kerosene's perfumes that remind me of Hilde Soliani's in the fact that they don't have a lot of progression. You get most everything you're going to smell within that first hour, which I appreciate, because like I've said before, you don't have to go and mourn the top notes and wish that they were coming back, because they stay with the whole wearing. Oh, it's so pretty. But the citruses do lighten up a little bit. And I think it's the citruses and some of the other, maybe the cucumber and the oak moss and some of those that give it that cold metal kind of a smell. But that does go away. Oh, he really is an artisan. And it performs like crazy. One spray. All of these, I don't think there's any here. No, that I do more than one spray. I don't think so. Unknown Pleasures. I have done more than one on that. But all right, next. The next one is Unforsaken. This is orange blossom and clementine and coconut and tangerine and vanilla. And there's some other white florals in there and tonka and some other fruits and ginger and benzoin and musk. Now this one does have a little bit of up and down. You really get the orange blossom and the fruits at first and some vanilla, but it isn't super sweet. Now once that dries down, you get the coconut and you get some tonka, and those fruits still stay there, but the orange blossom, I think it calms down a little bit, because it's not my favorite orange blossom note, to be really honest with you. And I do get a hint of ginger in there, but I get it throughout the whole thing within a few minutes after spraying this, because those citruses and that coconut are gorgeous. But I love the clementine and the tangerine and the coconut and the vanilla and the florals. I don't want to smell any one particular floral. I like it when it dries down, because then it just becomes floral. And you definitely get some tonka in there too once it dries down. Gorgeous stuff. Beautiful stuff. Again, beast mode. Careful. And Unforsaken, even with all of this orange blossom, coconut, and fruits, and vanilla and tonka, it never goes super sweet. So I think you could wear this year-round pretty easily. It really holds back. Unlike Pretty Machine, which holds nothing back, Unforsaken does. It holds back that sweetness a little bit to where it never goes full tilt boogie. All right, great stuff. Next up. The next one I'm going to talk about is Rude Elements. This is another very artisan kind of a perfume. I did not care for it at all when I first smelled it. It was not my cup of tea. It was just before my oud phase. So I wasn't appreciating oud like I did a year or two later. This one put me off at first because it's a very unique, very niche kind of oud. This is bitter orange and oud and sandalwood and amber and lavender and vanilla and iris, according to Fragrantica, but they mess up all the time. But I do tend to agree. This is almost a slightly metallic oud. It's almost like you'd walk into some kind of a aluminum factory or a steel factory and went into the break room and all the paneling was made out of oud. Yeah. Smell-wise, that's what I smell. And it's crazy powerful. I came back to Rude Elements after I really got to know John and Kerosene, and he had already made my bespoke perfumes. So I really was getting him as a perfumer. Went back to Rude Elements, fell in love, bought. And it's gorgeous. It's so unique. It's a kimchi fragrance. Even if you're a nude lover, you may or may not love it. I'm not even kidding. It is so unique. It's so niche. It's so artisanal that, yeah, you may have to do like me and kind of warm up to it. It's kind of a slow burner for me. I might have to do a list. Here I go again. I might have to do a list of perfumes that I found to be slow burners that I didn't care for much at first, but just kept going back to them, back to them, back to them, and fell in love with them. This is one of them. All right, next up. The next one is Follow. And this is probably one of the best coffee perfumes ever in history, in life. So it's coffee and maple sap and vanilla and tonka and benzoin and amber. It's like a really gourmet, sweet cup of coffee, but it's a true coffee perfume. It isn't disguised with a bunch of cream and milk and florals and gourmand notes and all of that, boozy notes, nothing like that. This is coffee. But it is slightly sweet, but it's got depth and dimension to it. And it's dark, but sweet at the same time. I know I keep smelling it. And this isn't one I wear very often because I don't like to wear. It's the same complaint I had with, what was that? There was another coffee perfume. I used to know the perfumer and it was pretty good. And I still have it, but I don't wear it because I've realized I do like my coffee notes a little lighter. Blended more to where they just add to the gourmand. I've discovered that because I don't reach for it, but I love to smell it. It's so amazing. Now, there are probably a lot of people out there that would love to wear something like this. It's just not something I want to wear. I just want to smell it. I might have to give this to my husband and see. Oh, but he hates coffee, but he loves the smell of coffee. So maybe he'd wear it. So I'll have to check it out. All right. And that is Follow. Last up. The last one I'm going to talk about is my latest acquisition from the House of Kerosene, and that's Winter of 99. It's molasses and nutmeg and woody notes and vanilla. And you would think that it would be more gourmand than it is, but it's not. There's a gourmand element to it when you get the molasses and the vanilla together. Oh. Ahoo! 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 That's what happens when you snort perfume. Hell of a sprayer, Kerosene. Anyway, it gets really close to being gourmand. But it doesn't quite jump off the cliff. But it's close. It's really close. It is beautiful. It's not too spicy. It's not too sweet. It's not too woody. It's not too gourmand. It's very unisex. This is one that I have worn in recently, warmer days. I've just worn it recently. And then I wore it this winter. And so far, so good. It's performing perfectly. And it's not too sweet. So I think this is one I'll be able to wear and try anyway during warmer weather, probably more like nighttime, because Kerosene's, most of his just do not lend themselves to daytime wear. They just don't. They're too niche and too intense. Now, a couple of them are close, and I suppose if you sprayed under your clothes, you probably, like Unknown Pleasures, I have worn that one during the day because I'm so wackadoo over it, but I had to wear it under my clothes because it's pretty potent. Anyway, if you haven't checked out Kerosene's house, you really should. He's amazing. And I think he's still considered an independent perfume. So, gorgeous stuff, great prices, performance, insane. Variety, crazy, and uniqueness off the charts. All right. Well, thanks so much for hanging in there with me. I'll be back soon with some kind of crazy crap. All right, everybody. Stay well and use your own nose. Okay. Peace.